Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's been a crazy 2 days. I've probably put in 26 hours in the last 2 days, maybe a little bit more. Orders are flying through the roof. Oh man, it's an exciting week, exciting couple of days. And as you can see, I haven't even showered yet today. And I was just thinking about this video for today, and while I'm thinking about it, while I'm giving it thought, I might as well knock it out. So today's video is on forming your business, forming your entity, and how to go about making the best decision when doing that. So first things first is, what state do you file in? Now this may be an easy question for some, but if you're going to be operating in multiple states, it may be a little complicated. So, what are your best options? When you do some research, you're going to find out, they're going to say Delaware, Nevada, or Wyoming, or Wisconsin or Wyoming. I think it's Wyoming, actually. So the reason why, well, for Delaware, they're not necessarily a tax haven, but they actually have a very specific court. They're very ahead of the game when it comes to the rest of the states with their business court. Their court is actually it's a business judge, a specialized judge that sits on this court in Delaware. So, and your case will be heard rather quickly in comparison to the other states where it might take a couple years, and your judge may not be a business judge at all. He might be a traffic judge, and you might not think that he's competent to make a accurate decision. So that is definitely a big benefit of Delaware, is the courts. That's the main thing. It's very quick around with the courts. It's tailored specifically for businesses, and the judge is trained in those matters. Now, Nevada and Wyoming, these are what are considered tax havens. So there's basically like 0% tax, sales tax, as well as even income tax. So, well, for corporate income tax. And so these are definitely, great incentives for startups to come to these states and actually register there, file there as their headquarters. So I definitely anticipate many businesses starting up in Wyoming and Nevada. They already have been booming. There's been tons of startups, but I definitely anticipate a lot more until we see some real law changes. I'm here in New York, and New York's trying to compete with this tax haven, but they only offer a 10-year tax haven. So, and it's very specific on where you are for your location in the state. So it's not as, there's definitely some big differences when you're looking at Wyoming and Nevada. So also, while forming, you're going to need to know some other documents to have in place, like your partnership agreements. You're going to need to know, you're going to need to know who owns what responsibilities there are, who's covering the expenses, what happens when you want to make an amendment when you add another partner, when another partner dies. These are things you're going to be including in your partnership agreements, and you're going to need to work these things out before you file your business. So it's good to have an operation plan or operational agreement in place for when things do hit the fan. It's basically like a template for when these questions do arise. How do we handle them? You'll have something in place to really guide you, and of course you can always make amendments, and there's also a guide for how to make amendments. You actually set this all up, so you're gonna want to know to do that before you form your agreement most of the time as well, or your formation of your company, your entity. And the next thing you're going to need to know for forming your business is, let's see. So you're also going to need to know what kind of entity you want, whether that's just a sole proprietorship, a partnership, an LLC, or a corporation. There's definitely those options to choose from. Definitely want to do your research on which one to choose. I actually did the previous video that you can see about blocker entities. If you think you need to become a corporation to get investment money, venture capital money, there's actually another way to do it that will save you 22% roughly when selling portions of your company in taxes. And that's actually use a blocker entity, which is a corporation, for an LLC. So you can start off as an LLC, and you would create a separate corporation to take the financial funds, which you would trickle down to your LLC. Have a video in there. You should definitely check it out. I think it's called Blocker Entities. So you want to know what entity you have. Once you figure that out, you're going to want to file with the state. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Obviously, LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer, they all offer options to do so. And there's also another option with Legal Shield, which is a little bit different because they don't actually, they'll help you file the paperwork, but you actually have to file it with the state yourself. So it will actually save you money doing it this way. There's no need to go pay Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom, $100 some to, file this with the state for you. That's actually free. There is going to be a filing fee. You're going to pay that regardless. And, there's going to be also articles of organization or articles of incorporation, depending on what type of entity you have. And these are going to be some costs to be aware of when you do form your business. I will leave some links down below where you can get one of these legal things if you wish, but the highly recommendation, you may need a lawyer to look over your paperwork when you file it for the state. Make sure everything's legit, so when you do file it, there's no problems. But then you can go to the State of Secretary website, and then you can actually file it yourself. Pay the filing fee and pay your articles of organization or incorporation. So besides that, so real quick, that was actually the lawyer that chimed in to cut off the video after this. I'm putting this video in before. So one thing to make sure you know about formation is definitely speak with your lawyer. From my New York's lawyer's point of view, they're saying, she's saying she can't really answer that question. Just talk to your accountant. Be sure to be aware of whatever states you're going to be starting in, if you're going to be doing multiple states, and be aware of the cost it's going to be when you do have that incremental expansion. Definitely don't want to do it in incremental routes unless you can just, afford to file in every single state. So that is basically it. Definitely check out the links below. I actually haven't even formed the entity for this company yet. We're supposed to be working on that today. I don't know what state to form in. I'm in New York. I may actually be forming in Wyoming, and then filing to register in New York. And we're going to be jumping down to Florida as soon as possible. So I thought we were going to be registering in Florida. But that's how things work sometimes. And tomorrow's video, let's see, is going to be on, what do we got here? That would take some research. I got a crazy busy week, so I'm trying to make it very easy for me. We will actually do tomorrow's video on a lesson that I learned from edX with the World Bank. It's nothing to do with business technically. It's more about the start of civilization and how countries were formed, and definitely gives me a particular theory of really who controls things behind the scenes, the powers that be, so to speak. So that's what tomorrow's video is going to be on. Definitely something I'm very interested in speaking on, and I'll have some resources in there